What are your thoughts on removing "In God We Trust" from American money? I'd be more interested in elected officials doing their jobs. Wasn't it only added during the Cold War? It's completely unnecessary and not tradition for us at all. At a time like this, E pluribus unum seems more relevant and needed. Replace it with Wu-Tang Forever. Yeah, let's replace it with Better Spend Me Now, I'll be worth 9 less in a year. I would support removing it, but that is honestly the least of our concerns right now. It was an anti-communist thing from the 50s. This is Reddit, it's pretty obvious the answer you're gonna get. I'd prefer to have pluribus unum back. It's not a hill I'd be willing to die on to remove it. I'd rather have codified abortion, or term limits for Scottish, or pretty much anything else. I'd prefer they remove the God from political policies first. Separation of church and state are a thing for a reason. Edit: I have never received this many upvotes or an award or anything like this, so thank you all, and I'm really trying to answer the replies. I just wasn't expecting this to blow up. Edit: to I am now at 1K karma. I'm going to go eat a celebratory granola bar. It shouldn't be there in the first place. I do not care at all. Jesus said to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. He didn't care about money, and neither does God. And if God is being offended or erased by removing the phrase from money, then he's not a very strong God to begin with. Who cares? There's much bigger problems right now. I would love it, as well as going back to our original, God-free Pledge of Allegiance. Of course, it won't happen in my lifetime. Although I am a devoutly religious person, I believe that it makes no sense to have it on the money in a secular society. The Constitution makes it clear that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The same thing that protects everyone's rights from my faith is what protects my faith from everyone else. It's necessary to separate religion and law in the American society, as that is constitutionally required. By the way, it's the First Amendment, not the 48th obscure amendment. Separating church and state is about as American as it gets. About time, the correct phrase is E pluribus unum. Enforce the separation of church and state. One nation, under Canada, and above Mexico. Robin Williams. E pluribus unum is all it should say. We don't all have to believe in that. Definitely was never core to our founding. Out of many, one defines us universally. Or didn't Christ preach against greed? I'm a fairly religious person, and I support the removal of the phrase from the currency. Blending church and state has caused way more problems than it has ever unified anyone. Get rid of it, no matter what your religion is. Keep church and state separate, even with money. I don't care one way or another. Just words. Nothing to get my panties in a bunch. I just want to have more of it, really. I'm sure GD will get over it. God should permanently be taken out of government and schools. Separation of church and state. He shouldn't be on the money anyway. We should. I'm a devout Catholic and very religious, but church and state should be separate. Hey guys, if money that says "In God We Trust" really bothers you, feel free to send it to me. I'll make sure you never see it again. Wasn't there before 1955, just remove it. I'm an atheist, and I don't care at all. Much more important things to worry about. As a Brit, I think you're all far too concerned with petty things and not enough with the real issues in the country. It's a fine idea, perfectly supportable. It's as likely to occur as America moving purely to digital money expenditure. Well, if you want to manufacture more Republican voters, sure, go ahead. I mean, it's the right thing to do technically, but it will piss people off and hurt the country in the long run because it'll give Republicans a great way to convince more religious dumbshits to vote our. Democrats keep fucking ruining their chances by blundering into these stupid tripwire issues that turn more and more single-issue voter blocks into lifelong Republicans. It doesn't matter if you're right if you lose. Long overdue. Oh hell yes. Never should have been there in the first place. It was put on the money in the late 50s during the time of rising influence of organized religion in the midst of the Cold War. Fundamentally, I disagree with the favoritism that Christianity has received in the US, and the fact that "In God We Trust" is printed on the currency we use is another example of the flagrant flaunting of the separation of church and state. If I could vote to have it returned to e pluribus unum, I would. It wasn't on money until July 1955. It never should have been, just like adding under God to the pledge instead of just one nation indivisible in 1954. It should have never been there in the first place. Do it already, damn. Should have been done a long time ago. The real kicker is that most people have no idea why it's actually on there. It wasn't a thing until 1955, and its origin is anti-communist propaganda. It's not in the spirit of the nation's founding principles. It's propaganda from a defunct war. Imagine if all our nation's mottos came from the Spanish-American War, or a trade dispute like NAFTA, and I don't think it belongs there. Edited to correct the year. As a Christian, I would still support removing it because not everyone in America is Christian, and I believe that religions can and should coexist. I'm 100 for it. America is a nation made up of many religions. Why honor one above the other? How would Christians feel if our money stated "In Allah we trust" or "In Odin we trust"? Needs to happen ASAP. It should have the original motto "E pluribus unum."